Hello, my name is Todd, and this is my first Minecraft video. Today I'm going to talk about power generation in McJty's mod Rftools. Now this is a neat sort of power generation. It takes some setup and some thought into optimizing the system. There are plenty of there are a few spotlights out there that sort of talk about how it works, but they don't really go into an optimized design. So that's what I'm making the video about, is to kind of show you a design that works and takes advantage of this powerful power generation. The main block in this is the Endergenic generator. You'll need at least 2. In my designs I use 4. You'll also need a pearl injector to inject the pearls into the system, Ender monitors to tell when pearl has arrived, and in the larger setup you'll need sequencers. Oh, you also need a timer also. If you have Mine Factory reloaded, you'll be able to use a programmable rednet controller to kind of make a smaller setup. This is my favorite setup right here. We'll get into that. Okay, so in the spotlights they kind of talk about how it works. Instead of talking about how it works and then telling you what the setup is, I'm going to go ahead and build 2 of them. The first one I'll build now, the second one a little later because it's a little bit more complicated, and kind of talk about it as I go. So as I get the pieces here and get started, kind of talk about why I like it a little bit. Let's go ahead and take that back out. Use this, and this, and then this. Alright. We'll start one over here. So McJty actually just buffed these generators to kind of get people to use them. And I've noticed that in other YouTubers I watch, they don't really use this, maybe because it's complicated, or it doesn't, maybe it doesn't look like it would make as much power as maybe a big reactor or something. But actually for the space, you can make it, it'll make more power than a big reactor. And I'll kind of show some examples of that. We'll get started here. So when you put these generators into charging mode, it's about 15 or 16 ticks that they can receive a pearl, and the optimum time for them to receive a pearl is on tick 10. So just through some testing and stuff, it seems like I can get around tick 10. I think it's actually tick 9, but it's still decent power generation if you have them 2 ticks apart. 2 ticks apart is 3 blocks to 5 blocks. So with this setup, we're going to go with the smaller one, which is 3 blocks and 2 ticks apart. You'll want to have them connect to each other so that they're kind of throwing in a rotation. You use that regular wrench, you just kind of click on one, and then the next one, all the way around, and then if you click on this one again, you can see that it's connected to that. Next thing I do is I put on the monitors. So these have 3 settings. When it'll send out a pulse when a pearl arrives, when a pearl is fired, and when a pearl is lost. I use when a pearl arrives, so we'll just go ahead and set all these to arrives. And I'm sure there's some uses for the other settings, but some of the other designs I've seen all use arrives. Maybe you can use the pearl loss setting to send a signal to the system to fire another pearl into the system, but I like the timer, and it only uses 1 block instead of having like 4 of these attached to each one. Next we're going to start putting the cable in. Well, I'll throw in the timer also. We'll go over the timer block when we wire it up. It takes 32 of these rednet cables, in case you've got like an AE system or something. You can just queue up 32 of these things. Each one of these generators you'll want to have 2 connections, so like there's one and there's one. Put one there, put one there, and then we'll kind of bring them all together. Alright, there we go, on around. Oh, I was sitting there trying to figure out what I missed. I forgot to put the pearl injector on. The pearl injector is where you're going to put your fuel, which is ender pearls, and when it gets a signal, it's going to place a pearl inside the first generator, and then it'll start off the rotation. So we'll continue wiring these up, put one there, and then we'll go across the back and put in the sequencers. Creative, I can fly here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go around the back. Go ahead and wire that one in too. Okay. So I like my setups neat, so I don't like these extra connections that it makes on the sides of these guys. Just take those off real quick. I think that's it. Yep. Okay, so now you're gonna start color coding these things to get the right signals going to the right places. So the first one, I just use the first color. I don't like using white because it's, I don't know, you put it down, it might mess something up if you like just place a cable. So I like using anything but white, so we'll just use the first color for the first generator. So what this does is that when the pearl arrives, this thing will send out a pulse, and it'll send a pulse to orange. So then that pulse goes around and then hits this one again, and then what it does is it actually fires it. So you'll need a pulse to fire the pearl. You'll also need a later pulse to put the generator back in the charging mode. And charging mode, like I said before, is when it can collect a pearl along with the power that comes with it. So each one of these is going to get a different color. Light blue on this one, and yellow on this one. Okay, so then for the second connection that goes on these generators, so you get the pulse, you'll get the signal that will fire it, and then the one that I said puts it in charging mode will actually come from the next generator. So when it gets the, so it gets the signal, fires, and then when the pearl lands in this one, the Ender monitor will say a pearl that arrived and send out another signal to magenta. And so we want that signal along with hitting this one, so it fires again from that generator. We want it to come down here and put it into charging mode. Pardon me, into charging mode. So I just passed it. So we'll put that in magenta. So we're just going to use the color that's next and put it on the side there. So that one over there is light blue. Put that light blue. The next color is yellow, so put that in yellow. And the next color is orange, so we'll put that in orange. Oh gosh dang. Okay. Alright, now we're gonna set up the timer. How the timer works in Rftools is that it'll count so many ticks, what you set it at, and then it'll send out a pulse. The input, if it gets a pulse, or if it gets a redstone signal, then it'll reset the timer. So what we're going to do is, when the pearl is going around the cycle here, every time that it hits this third generator here, so that's the first one, I call it the first one, where the pearl gets injected, so 1, 2, 3. When it arrives here, we're going to send a signal to the timer, so it resets it and does not send out a signal of its own. The only time we want it to send out a signal of its own is when a pearl is lost and is not going through the system. So we're going to go ahead and set that to light blue, so that every time it comes here, resets the signal. We're going to give it its new signal that's going to go to the sequencers on the back. So when a pearl needs to be set into the system, green is the one that's going to get the kickstart. When it's actually started, green is never going to signal while the pearl is in the system. So all this only goes while a pearl needs to be inserted or injected. The injector needs its own signal. We're just going to set that to pink because it's after green. Alright. So when the timer goes off, we're going to want the sequencers to go off. So we're going to set all of these to green. so that they all get the timer signal. And then we're going to have them go off at different times. The reason that we're going to have them go off at different times is because of the 15 to 16 tick limit that these things can be in charging mode before they close and can't accept pearls. So we have to do it at different times because the pearl will arrive at the generators at different times. The order that we're going to set these things in is that we're not going to start with the first one. We're actually going to start with the second one, because the first one doesn't need to be put in charging mode right away because it has to go all the way around before it actually gets caught. The first one that's actually going to catch a pearl is going to be the second generator. So we start with the second one. We're going to go with magenta, and then light blue, and then yellow for the last generator. And then instead of going to the first generator, this is the signal to actually inject the pearl. So if we were to inject the pearl, it would fire, and then if the pearl signal was first, it would fire, and then it would get to the next generator and it wouldn't be ready for it. So I like to have the second generator get ready, and then by the time it goes down the line and fires that pearl, it's still in charging mode. It can catch that pearl, and because the next one came on a different delay, then that one's ready, then that one's ready, and then we do the first generator last, so it gets ready last. So the timer's still going on at the 15 to 16 ticks. So how we get that delay? So we use a sequencer. Each one of these is a different tick. Down here has something to do with how it interacts with redstone signal, restarting and stuff like that. We're not going to do anything too complicated. We're just going to set which tick we want the signal to go through on. So the magenta one, we're going to go on tick 3. On the next one, tick 6. We're actually going to go up every 3. And I'll talk about why I picked 3 here in a second. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, pardon me. And then the third one right there, or the last one right there. Alright, so the reason we picked 3 ticks apart is because there's 2 ticks in between each generator, and I've read that it takes 1 tick for it to it holds it for 1 tick. So if it holds it for 1 tick and then it takes 2 ticks to go to the next one, that's 3 altogether. So yeah, okay, so it looks like we've got it all set up. These connections here are just extra. You can take those off also. And then last, we're going to set this to 30 ticks. We want it to count 30 before it sends another signal. That's a second and a half, and it should take only 10 ticks to go all the way around, so half a second. So that's plenty of time for this cycle to go through as long as the pearl is in there. Now we're going to throw some pearls into the system, just so you can kind of see it work a little bit. Alright, there we go. Put it in, and it should start. If I did everything, yep, there it goes. You'll see these neat little fuzzies, purple fuzzies, if it's working. Every time you see like a black there, that one right there, that means a pearl was lost. You can have a perfect setup, but he still puts in a fail percentage. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's either a 1%, like each time it catches a pearl, it has a 1% chance of failing, even if you have a perfect system, or if it's a 0.1% or something low like that. So you can see if you have a good system, it's just going to go and go and go. And as we've been standing here, it's only used 2 pearls, the first one and then the second one where you saw it kind of smash. Now to kind of look at how much power it's making per tick, that's over 2,500. Oh, it just made 2,800 RF per tick, and this is with the buff that he just put in to kind of get people to use it. You can infuse these things and get them to use even more. You can see the power that's building, and this isn't 28 for the whole system. This is 28 just for that, just for this generator. Each generator is making 25 to 28. So that's 10,000 to 11,000 RF a tick. And this little area, this setup that I use is basic one that I use is 6 by 8. So 6 this way, 8 this way, obviously. And it's only one high. Now, because the cables will connect if you just go one high, you can't do one on top of the other. You have to kind of stack them, you know, every other. But just think, if you get these things going up into, you know, a tower, how much each level is 10,000. As soon as you do the second layer, that's about the same as what a turbine does in big reactors. So you can see with just a smaller space, it's a little bit more efficient on space. The most expensive part of this whole thing is going to be your fuel. These generators, they take 4 diamonds in the recipe. You can use here I'll just look it up. Tools. Throw that in there so you can see it. There you go. It's just a couple diamonds for each one. So it's mid game. You know, once you're in mid game, you probably have like a starter quarry going. So there's the Ender monitor, pearl injector. You see that's not that bad. And these machine frames that you use, see, it's just a little bit of iron, some lapis, stone, and little gold nuggets and stuff. So yeah, the most expensive part is going to be your source of pearls, and I'll give a few examples later on. So that's how you build this if you have Mine Factory Reloaded. Now, I'll go into that one in a second because that's my favorite. If you don't have Mine Factory Reloaded, like if you're playing the Pathfinder pack, you do have Ender.io. You can use all of these the same way. You can see it's all the same setup. You can even kind of see the ticking. I put this lamp here. It doesn't do anything to the system. It just I have it set to the injector signal. So if you were to put some pearls and put some fuel inside of it, it will only light when a pearl is injected into the system. So you can kind of see how often it uses one of your fuels. You see, a pearl lasts actually a long time. There you go. It injected one more. So I could stand here and watch, but I don't want to really waste time with this. But see, it's not firing. There you go, another one. So it's going to fire. There it goes. That's another one going in. So it's pretty efficient on your pearls. If you have a ender grinder or something like that, you're going to get pearls a lot faster than this thing uses them. And so that means, you know, that will supply your stack of setups. You don't have to just have one. I'm going to do a little bit more complicated setup, and the reason I'm throwing this one in is because there are some packs that don't have Ender.io, or I need to grab these things here. Don't have Ender.io or Mine Factory loaded, and one of those packs is the New Horizons Daybreaker pack that just came out. Also, I wanted to kind of set it up with you, not only because it's a little bit more difficult, but blue power for some reason lags in my worlds. And this is the pack that I'm actually using right now is KortexKomplete. You put in, and I should have wrote down, I think it's Cortex Core. I don't know. Maybe I'll put it in the description, the pack code and Feed the Beast launcher. But blue power, it lags out my world in this pack and in the Horizons pack, and also in the Pathfinder pack. So to me, it seems like it's something to do with blue power. So in those world, where I have to use it, I only set up one setup and, you know, infuse the generators, and it's good that he buffed it, because then one setup kind of supplies your base. So let's go ahead and get this started here. What I'm going to do is, instead of doing the 3 blocks apart, I still want the 2 ticks, but we're going to go one further to this. After looking at the setup later, it doesn't seem like maybe you need the extra space, but I do it anyways just to kind of give me room. The monitors I'm going to set out to the side instead of inward. So like I said, I need the room. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and put those up because we don't need those anymore, and then start setting these to arrived also. arrived, and arrived. And we're going to get rid of that on the side there. Oops. See, that's why I bring this, because I do that all the time. Alright, and then we're going to set the pearl injector to one of them. It doesn't matter which one. I think I do it on the inside here. Seems right. No, I do it on the outside. Alright, now we're going to start setting up our cabling. Blue power, you can't set the colors of the cable by clicking on it with a wrench like the other one. So, and we'll get the timer and the sequencers in a bit. So you have to actually craft out the different colors and the bundled cable, or the bundled wire, so that you can get it a little bit more compact. Go ahead and switch places there. We're going to put these colors down so that we can get to them. We have 6 different signals, 4 for each of the generators, and then 1 for the timer, and then 1 for the injector. So we're going to just go ahead and use the first one. You see that it connects to the monitor, but it doesn't connect to the actual generator, and it won't connect to the injector either. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to get some regular wire and just put it on it, and then it connects like that. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those on, and then start setting up the different colors. Oops, use different colors. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and throw the injector color on also. There we go. And then we'll start wiring them together with the bundled one. There we go. And we'll take this down here. So the signal, like this, any other color besides green isn't going to go through green, so that's why you have to get this bundled to go around it. We'll just kind of get them all to meet here in the middle. Oops. Alright, and then all the colors are connecting. It's a windmill, it's not anything else. And so we'll throw in our timers now, or the timer. To kind of save on space, what I've been doing with the blue power setup is I'll put it one layer down. So we'll go ahead and throw our timer down. Looks like the color that we're using for that is orange. And just like we used before, the third generator is the color that we want to reset the timer, so that's yellow. And then you could put the wire, or the bundled wire, on top of it, and see it still connects. So you can kind of add dimensions to the setup. Then after that, we just need to get the sequencers. We'll need 5 of them, so just pick a spot where you can put 5 of these things. I guess we'll just go right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just to save on space, I put these down also. We want the timer signal to go into the back of these, just like the other ones. And because all orange will connect to each other, we don't have to put the bundled wire all the way across there. But because each of these does use a different signal, then we will. So we'll start with the second generator, which is green. So green, yellow, magenta, and then we go with the injector color, which is the light blue, and then white. Alright, we'll put the bundle all the way across the top. And then that's all wired in. You can see my frame rate's already going down because of this blue power setup. As soon as we get it up and working and I show you, then I'll probably just tear it down real quick so that it doesn't mess up the rest of the video. Okay, alright, last one, reach. There. Set the timer to 30 ticks. And then that should be good to go. Let's go ahead and grab some pearls. And we'll test it and make sure that it works here. We should. Oh, you know what I did? I forgot to connect these things. Alright. There we go. Do I have any left? A couple. Smash it on that one. Okay. Here's the problem. It'll go all the way around one time, but because I forgot that second signal that's supposed to go on these things, it will only go around one time. It's not being put back in the charging mode. So let's go ahead and set up the second signals here real quick. Those pearls will just run out. Alright, so what I'm doing now is that you could put the second signal on the side, but then what happens is that these things connect. You would think that that wouldn't matter, but if the second side is a different signal, then when green fires, it's going to go around and then go into the new color. So you got to get a new side for this. So I put it on the bottom. And just like that. The next color is yellow, so we're going to go ahead and do yellow. We don't need this, so we'll get that back down in here. And then, oops. And then there we go. So now it's connected into the yellow. Alright, the next color on this one is the magenta. That in there, and we'll do the next one, and I hope that doesn't make a bad connection there. Did I connect it to the side? I didn't. Good thing you caught that. Alright, so the next one is white. We'll go ahead and do white, and it shouldn't connect because they're two different colors. Yep, see? And then we'll throw the bundled wire on top of that also. And then the next one is green. The last one. And then that should be it. But good, I'm kind of glad that happened, because then you kind of get to see how to troubleshoot some mistakes that you might come across and why it's not working. So where's my injector? Here we go, it's over here. The lag, or not the lag, but the frames. Alright, now it should go. There we go. See, that's much better looking. It's all nice smooth particles besides the frame rate. Alright, good deal. Time to take it down. Go ahead and throw all these back in here. Alright, go away. Go away, blue power. If the frame rate isn't from blue power, then I apologize to the people who make it. But it just seems consistent that when I do a blue power setup, then that's what. Then I get the frame rate problems. Alright, that should be pretty good now. That's most of it. I don't think a couple little pieces are gonna matter. So we're going to go back to the smaller MineFactory Reload to set up with a programmable RedNet controller. I like this because it's small. You can do this in the Affinity pack. It uses both these mods. If you use the Colony pack, it has Rftools and this in it also. But I think you're starting to see some packs not use MineFactory Reloaded. Anyway, so we'll go into the setup here. Everything is the same except for you take out the sequencers. The sequencer part you can do inside here, and I'm pretty sure that you can set up a timer in here also, but I wanted to do it so you wouldn't have to upgrade your PRC at all. So this is just the default box. You don't have to make any of the extra chips or anything. So we'll kind of go into what it looks like. So just like the other setup over there, the timer signal goes into green, and so this is going to be sort of where the sequencers are. So green is coming in from the right side of the box from this cable, so input output right, and then you're going to use the fan out and you're going to send it to 5 different signals, just like 5 different sequencers. The first sequencer we put as variable 1, so we're going to go to that one, and the input is variable 1, so it's coming from the fan out, and it's going to wait. We're going to do on delay, and we're going to wait 3 ticks, just like when we use the sequencers. The first sequencer does 3 ticks, and the next one's going to do 6 and goes up by 3 every time. And we're going to go out to magenta, which is the second generator, just like with the sequencers. And it's going out to the right because it's the right side of the cable, and we'll just kind of run through the rest. See 6, and then the next generator, and so on. And then that uses all 6 channels, so you don't have to upgrade it at all. So if you want to like copy that, if you don't really know how to use the PRC very well, at least you can kind of see what the settings are here. Delay for the others and fan out for the first one. Then you can do your own. I also want to say that the program inside these things is transferable. So if you do want to make a tower, oh, and by the way, this is a 5x6 setup. So this is the smallest I've made it so far, and get the same type of power generation from it. There may be better designs that do more power, but as far as like the space and per block, this is the most optimized I've been able to get this power generation with the Endergenic generators and Rftools. Anyway, so if you have this thing, I want to take the program out of it. Not really sure how to do that, so we're just going to go ahead and search for a new one. PRC, there's a new one, and then you just shift right click on it and it sets it inside there. And then if you have a new block or a new controller, just set that down and then right click with it and it'll go in. One thing I do want to say is that sometimes the orientation, like this one is still to the right, and I believe these will all still be to the right, but if you turn it a different way, so if it's a different direction in the world, and then we gotta program it, it's gonna change it. So like now it says back, so it's kinda, it goes in the same direction as how it is in the world. So like that way would be the back, and if we were looking at the original one, it's to the right. So if you're gonna set your setups in a different orientation, you're gonna have to go through and change these to the right, or however it is that you set it up. Alright. Now to kind of show you what kind of power it makes, like with these monitors, these are also from Rftools. These are infused, 100% infused, and when you infuse things, they work more efficiently. So with the generators, it's going to make them build more power, or create more power and use less power to hold the pearl for that one tick. And these are not infused. So let's grab those pearls. Then you'll be able to see on the screen kind of what the difference is between infused and not infused. And why are these not going? Where's my timer at? Should be going. Oh, my sequencer set. I don't know how that happened. Alright, make sure I do this right. I think when I was getting ready for this video, just didn't test that one because I wanted to. There they go. Alright. So this is uninfused with the buff. Wow, it goes up to 35 on the first one? Sure it's not infused? Yep, 0 infusion. Wow, that's a lot of power. 4,000? Okay, so just regular uninfused where you don't go to other dimensions and find the dimensional shards. This is the kind of power you're making with this little bit of area right here. Crazy. Alright, so we're going to throw some in here so you can see what infused generators make. And it always has a warm-up period, so it's not going to stay low like this. As soon as it warms up, it's going to get going. Uh-oh, I'm having problems. Oh, I just had some unlucky fires. Alright, get warmed up. Oh, they look about the same. Yep, they're 100% infused. So of course while I'm watching it, it's not going to get to the high ones, and you're going to see it's going to keep misfiring. Jeez. Okay, get going, get going. Well, you can kind of see how the numbers are. Yep. Alright, so this video is kind of running long. What I really want to do is I want it to... One thing I want to mention with these Ender IO things. When you make a connection here, you're going to want to set them all to strong signal for some reason. It may have something to do with, like with the blue power, how it wouldn't connect to the sides here. So these I have connected to the side, but I have to do strong signal for it to actually send a signal through. These, I don't really adjust these, they just seem to connect. That's why I like it the best. So what I also wanted to do was kind of show you what you would get from one pearl if you want to see what a one pearl basis is. So we are going to take these out and throw these on. And drain the look at that thing, it's not stopping. It still has one pearl going through the system. Might have to kill the timer or something to get it to stop. Want to drain the power out. There we go. Alright, now it's gonna stop. So this will go ahead and drain out the remaining power. There it goes. Alright. And then we'll just put one pearl in. Hopefully we get a lucky shot where it goes around for a while. Oh. And it's not gonna, we're not gonna be able to see it if you don't put on the battery or the capacitor. Alright, come on. Misfire. Here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and change the setting here. There we go. Go back to arrived. Put the NT capacitor on. And we'll throw a pearl in. We'll see what one pearl gets us. And of course I don't connect it. So this is just two of the generators get you 8,000, so you know you can double it. Sit about, dang. Oh no, that's because it was built up. But you know do about 16,000 with infused generators. So just one pearl got us over 7 million. Other mods, you know, like extra utilities that have the ender generators, I don't think that they get that kind of power from one pearl. So you can just kind of see how powerful the system is, and that's only 5 by 6. You know, you can layer this thing and make a huge power system. So as far as aesthetics, I kind of like the wires and how it looks. You might not. So if you use Ender IO, you know, you can make the facades and kind of cover them up. You can put your tesseracts that grabs all your wireless power in the floor, and then have the floor facaded up, and you're going to need maybe an ender chest that's going to supply pearls into your pearl injector, and you can put that in the floor somehow and use the facades to kind of cover up the wiring that goes inside of it. As far as these, you'll just have to get creative, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I like having my wires show. It's it makes it look like a bunch of machinery in my mad scientist lab. The only one that I don't really like the look is the blue power. I just use it if the mod pack doesn't have anything else. So I'll give you some more examples of the aesthetics. I built sort of a makeshift lab over here, and these things, they don't have to be horizontal. You can put them vertical also, and this is just one block. I probably could have put these lights one inside just so you don't see all these extra wires. But all this is that the signal that goes to each of the injectors, you know, every time it fires, I have them set on the lights also, so you can kind of get it, you know, looking, you know, all lit up in here. When it's nighttime, it really flashes a bunch. And here, maybe I can go ahead and set the night. Go ahead and do midnight. Let's see how it like flashes a bunch. So, you know, if you get like different colors in here, you can have like it really going crazy. And it looks like, you know, instead of using maybe some animated chisel blocks or something, you'll have like something real and functional that's in the walls. And that's, you know, that's, if they're all infused, that's 16,000 RF a tick. That's being generated right there. You know, 32, 48. You'll have a rim of 48,000 RF a tick. And then you can have, you know, a couple mining lasers right here in the middle and being powered by what's in the walls. So kind of get to what you can do to farm your ender pearls besides making grinders for Enderman. Rftools has a spawner that you can spawn in Enderman and get pearls that way. Pathfinder is peaceful, so you won't be able to make a grinder. So in that case, I made a Resident Ender Ocean world, but when I go there and come back, it seems to give me problems loading in the world. So you can put a pump in there. We'll just call this a pump. Well, the ender tank, like the pump goes in the ender tank and then comes out this way. Pathfinder has the Tinker's tools, so you can put up a bunch of Tinker tables here, or casting tables, and then the cast I'm using inside there is the pan cast. That will make pearls if you put Resident Ender in there. So this is empty. We're just going to kind of see how fast you can get pearls with this method. And of course I didn't grab my, oh, there we go, I left one in here. Yay, prepared a little bit for a video. Now we'll go ahead and do that and set it to out. And then you'll kind of see them working in there. Yeah, you can see them forming and be taken out. You know, Ender IO, you can put two conduits in the same spot. So I've got fluid conduits putting the fluid in, and then I've got item conduits taking it out and moving it to this chest. So just as from when we put that last piece on there, we've already got this many pearls. So if you have a pump in a world, you know, pumps don't take very much to power, so that's a lot of pearls to power all of your generators that you're gonna have. So pearls are easy once you get to mid game. If you're playing maybe the Horizons Daybreaker, I've been using EE3 mod to get my pearls. I don't really have an infinite way to get pearls. I just gotta, quarry for diamonds and then throw them in and get pearls out, because that pack doesn't have tinkers. It's all new stuff. But it does have the RF tool spawners. I haven't really played with it too much, but from what it looks like, you can get a bunch of pearls from that. So that's my Endergenic generator setup. I hope it was helpful in case you've been taking a look at these generators but not really sure how to make them work. And I hope you get your mad scientist lab going with all kinds of cool lights and machines and stuff. Thanks for watching my first video, and I hope it wasn't too painful. Anyways, have a good day. Bye.